Hey guys, it's Nick from The Creed here, and welcome to the 5th episode of Assassin's Creed The Leak. I'm back from vacation, so now it's time to talk about graphics and world design in Assassin's Creed Empire. How will the game look, and what can we expect to see? Let's find out. The leak never mentioned much about graphics, but it did tell us about the scenery. It also told us that they're not recycling, which I've talked about in another video. The guy on 4chan said that the biggest difference about this game is how colorful it looks. It will contain blue skies, lush vegetation, and deserts where you experience mirages. This tells me that it will be set in a part of Egypt that is covered by deserts, but that the city or area we spend most of our time will, to a reasonable extent, be green with plants, trees, etc. We could also see oases in the deserts, which would be a beautiful sight, and this could be an important part of the game, as maybe being in the desert for too long without shade would cause desynchronization or death. This is also where mirages could come into play, because if you follow a mirage and it ends up just being more desert, that could be fatal for your character. A common misconception is that Egypt, or more specifically the Sahara, has always been a desert. We know that it once was lush and green, just like the leak described, only that was 10 to 12,000 years ago, and the chance of Ubisoft setting the game in that period is very small. But Ubisoft has taken their liberties before, so making Egypt a bit greener than it actually was would be welcomed by me at least. Setting the game in ancient Egypt gives the developers a lot of opportunity. They can make this beautiful game world that is stunning to look at, but it's also possible to make that gorgeous scenery a part of the game mechanics. The desert, the oases, the Nile, and so much more could be such an important part not only for the player, but also for the NPCs. This helps sell the game world and could result in brilliant world design. I think the small settlements and larger cities need some kind of ecosystem, where weather, water, and the desert comes into play, and affects the inhabitants in a major way. Looking at how Paris and London looked, and especially London, Ubisoft has managed to create a living and breathing city before. But what I'm asking for is an entire area that's alive, and if Ubisoft can pull that off, I will be deeply impressed. The developers should really focus on linking the world design and game design in a major way, so that one definitely couldn't live without the other. This for me would make me want to explore this open world that they're reportedly going for. It's just very important that they don't end up with New York from The Division that was very empty and felt dead, even though that was sort of the vision for the game. When it comes to graphics, it's not easy to say, as the leak never really mentioned anything about it, but considering they're not recycling, it could mean that they're creating a new engine. A new engine would mean new graphics, new mechanics, new physics, but also new problems, new challenges, new glitches, and bugs. Unity is a great example of this, as they were trying to take the series to the next gen with a completely new engine. The result was sort of what they wanted, but only graphic-wise. The graphics were pretty good, the game was beautiful when it worked. And this is what worries me about them not recycling, because it could end up as a new Unity. However, this is also what excites me, because they can make a game that is not like Unity and Syndicate. They could really revamp the series. I think the visual quality will be a bit like Unity, only will have the visual color style of Black Flag. AC4 is really the only AC game we can compare it to when it comes to the visual look that is described in the leak. I guess to an extent we can look at AC1, but considering that was 10 years ago when Empire will be released, the visual style is very outdated and will not be copied. Although I hope the graphics will be stunning, I want them to focus more on world design, get the game world to feel alive and real, and think about visuals later. It's important for immersion, of course, but if the game world isn't believable, graphics doesn't matter. Also, don't sacrifice game performance for graphics, cause that would just be another Unity mistake. Unity ran like horseshit on PC, Xbox, and PS4 at launch. Of course, they fixed it a little bit, but it was never really great. But for the Black Flag team, I think has this handled because Black Flag ran really good. The problem was that that was built on a previous engine, or an engine that was used for the previous AC. So with the new engine, we don't know, but please focus on game performance. I think that's really important. There's not really much more to talk about when it comes to the visual styling of the next installment. I will talk more about the game world in another video later. I think that deserves its own video completely. But that, guys, is all for me today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe if you want more. A set of video is coming to celebrate 4,000 subscribers if you wanted to know that. And until the next time, bye.